Hi everyone, I'm Mark Simon, and I am the president of Animatics and Storyboards. I'm also the author of the book Storyboards, Motion and Art, and I have over 4,500 production credits. Wow, that makes me feel old. Hell, I'm having a good time with all of this, so I don't care. Anyway, I wanted to let you know that I use Storyboard Pro every day on both live action and on animation productions. And I've used it for years, and it saves me a ton of time, and it's also helped make me a better story artist. But I'm often surprised how many story artists don't know about some of the amazingly cool features that this software can do. So I created this list of 7 cool features in Storyboard Pro. Let's get started. So cool feature number 1, check this out. So here we have a character that's drawn on one layer and a background on another layer, and of course the background lines go behind it. So what we did, like here, is you go in and you fill it in, you color it in. That takes time. So there's an automatic way of doing that now. So let's go to this panel. Here's our character right here. You can see the background lines behind it, but there's nothing colored in. Now I could add another layer and I could color him in, but why do that? Check this out. I can go Layer, Generate Auto Matte. Now it's going to ask me for color, so I can choose any color I want. I'm going to leave it white. And radius, that's how much of a gap it will fill. We'll leave it at 30 as the default for right now. Click OK, watch what happens. That fast, it fills it in. So I have now a layer of my line and a separate layer of my fill, and even called it a matte. Instantaneous filling in, people, and you can do this over an entire scene, not just one at a time. I just saved you hours every day, and you know it. Okay, so let's go to cool feature number 2. Setting up default layers. Now, I know how sexy that sounds, but honestly, it really is. So when you first start up Storyboard Pro, you're going to have 2 layers, your background and your A layer. So every time I click on a new one, here's a new scene. Here it is, still background A layer. So you're going to add and rename layers every single time, just like you do in Photoshop, right? Wrong! I don't do that at all anymore. No one should. So here's how I like to set mine up. Set up yours any way you want. I have a rough layer and a rough 2 layer because I do my thumbnails on multiple layers. Then I have a group called background, and I have background and a tone where I fill it in. Then I have an ink group with an ink and a tone. I just have a miscellaneous layer in between. And then I've got my foreground layer with foreground ink and my foreground tone. And then I've got arrows and notes. There's lots of different things I can do. I even have it set where arrows do not export to my animatic, but they do to my printed materials. So this is a lot to set up, but this handles most of what I want. But here's one of the cool things. I'm going to click on Rough 1, because whenever I start a new panel, that's where I'm going to start sketching. Check this out. You go to Layer, but the last one on the list, Set Layer Layout is default. I'm going to click that. So now watch what happens. I'm going to click New Scene. Look at that. All these layers. Rough 1 is highlighted. I can start drawing instantly. All my layers and all my groups are already set up for me. How much time did I just save you? Yes, it really is that cool. Now, let's move on to cool feature number 3. Video tracks. That's right, I said video in Storyboard Pro. I have been asking for this for years, and we finally got it. Yes, you can thank me later. Okay, so here's some of the different cool things you could do. You can bring in video onto its own track. You actually have to add it. So you go to Storyboard, New Video Track. And here I brought in Baby that I can use as a reference. I threw it in the corner, and I drew it. What else can we do with video tracks? Well, I can also set timings. So here's a baby hand snapping, and I can put markers at the high point or the low point and figure out what my timing is going to be. What else can I do? Maybe I want to give notes on a video layer. I have my baby video down below my drawing layer, and I'm going to go up to one of my foreground, and I'm going to come in here with a brush and a white line, and maybe I'm going to want some elf ears, and I'll point that out. Ears. Over animation or over live action, I can bring in my video and draw notes. What else can I do? Well, maybe I want to make it somewhat transparent, and I want an animated character over my animation. So we're going to want that dog to stick his head in. I can sketch that over it, and I can set the timing. What else can I do? Well, let's see. We've got the baby snapping fingers, baby tapping his foot, and then the video jumps over to the baby's face. Well, if you've got finished footage, like I do a lot of times in live action, and we need to storyboard the missing footage, well, I think we should have a butt after the tapping feet. Maybe his butt is swinging, so I can actually edit the video in here and then storyboard the other pieces, and the director can see what the whole finished thing is supposed to look like. We get approvals on what we need to reshoot. Wow, this gets even better. What else can we do? Well, there's sometimes I get lazy, so what am I going to do? Well, maybe I'll make the video somewhat transparent, and I'll trace right over it. What better, faster way can you get of getting something out quick? You know what? Clients just care you can get it done fast. They don't care how you get it done. Look how fantastic video is. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to cool feature number 4. Okay, perspective tools. Yes, we've been asking for this in all of our programs. Very few have any, but now Storyboard Pro has literally the best perspective tools of any drawing program. I'm going to go here over to guides, hit the plus. I can do a square grid, 1-point, 2-point, or 3-point perspective. Let's just do a quick 2-point perspective here. I don't want my points right there. I can easily edit them. So let's take this and we're going to move that vanishing point in and this vanishing point in. And when you click on moving a vanishing point, obviously it shows you where your lines might end up going. Let's zoom back in. I'm going to lock that so I can't move the lines. And what if you need to just draw a quick street? Boom. Look how quick that is. Get a little curbage going in there. And I'm going to have my buildings. Let's do a real tall building back here. Look, just real quick sketching. And it's absolutely perfect perspective. Let's have some buildings going the other direction back here. Perfect perspective, that quick. Look what you can do in this. All right, let's move on to cool feature number 5. Grouping layers in order to quickly animate things. So I can draw my lines on one layer and I can color on another layer, keep them separate. Draw behind never works if you want to do additive coloring, so you always have to do it in 2 different layers. But animating them was a pain, because if I would take my line and I would move it, nothing moves with it. I'm going to hit Control Z back again. But check this out. I can group these together. As long as the layers are within one group, I can animate the master group and the lines and colors move together. How fast and cool is that? Okay, let's move on to cool feature number 6. Let's talk the business of storyboarding, tracking changes. I know that doesn't sound sexy, but it is really great. If I go under Storyboard, I come down and I click on Auto Tracking Mode. This is just like in Word. Notice down here below, all of these are gray. All the drawing panels are shown in gray. But if I want to make some notes here of I want pointy ears, I made a note on my notes layer. All right, that's something I added, no big deal. But look what happened. Any panel that has notes on it turns yellow. I can send something with 150 panels to my artists, and they're going to know exactly which panels I made notes on that fast and easy, and then they can just turn off the tracking once they finish going through, and everyone knows that everything got done. All right, great, cool. Now let's quickly move to one of my all-time favorites. You're going to love it, which is cool feature number 7. As you probably know by now, you can add a 3D object into your storyboard and move it in 3D. But let's be real. Most of you story artists, and myself included, it takes time and we don't want to learn the 3D, so we're seldom going to do that. It takes time. But wouldn't it be so cool to be able to have that 3D vehicle, 3D prop, 3D set, be able to move it around real quick and put it there and not be working in a 3D environment? Well, guess what? They listened. You can do that. Let's check this out. All right, so I'm going to go over here to my 3D models template. I have a 3D model in there. I'm going to just drag that in. But look, I can have it render to 2D. Watch how simple this is. I'm going to fit the model to view, zoom out a little bit, and then I'm going to just use some of these things and rotate around so I can see how the car is at the angle that I want it to. I'm just going to play here just for a second. That looks pretty good. All right, I didn't have to know anything about 3D, and I can look at it. I'm just going to click on Render to Scene. Look what it does. It puts the car in there as a 2D object. It's just drawing. I'm in 2D layers. There's no 3D to learn. But I've got this great, fantastic car, and it gives you a perfect mat around it. I can go underneath it, and I can draw lines. Watch this. It goes perfectly behind the car. No more having to learn 3D, but I can still pull in great models if they exist. How awesome is that? Yes, this will save you even more time. So there you have it. 7 amazing features of Storyboard Pro to make your life easier. So, what are you waiting for? Go start working with it. Now, if you want more details of how to work with Storyboard Pro, check out my course at lynda.com/Mark Simon. See you later. Have fun boarding.